because I'm going to have everything done before I come to the commission meeting anyways.
The 29th.
On the 29th. So that's kind of our, so I have to have everything to the bank by noon that day. So I figure I'll probably work the weekend and get it knocked out. So it's done and ready. It may just be like 11 before she brings down the accounts payable.
Good. Jerry, if you're ready, I guess we can go ahead and take care of you.
Morning.
Morning.
First page there is results of September. Ending results. We didn't see the front page is the operating budget figures, and the back page is the administrative portion. Reasonably good shape for the end of the quarter.
You said this first page is as of September?
Mm-hmm. End result.
This bus runs on a different fiscal year. Jerry, what does the state, because this is from the state, so
Okay. Is it October? The end of the year?
July.
June 30. They run July 1 to June 30.
Yeah. State, it's on the state here.
so this is out of the state's budget.
Okay. July 1st through June 30th. So this is first quarter expenses.
All the rides have picked up some. A little people utilizing them from 17.
Somewhat. Next page, the fiscal year, 2019 is a little bit erroneous because in July there were 20 rides. There was a quick catch-up from Tickets to Ride program. It goes all spread. I think it was from May through June. It says there are 20 rides. They were so infrequent, I waited till first part of June to turn the bill in to Teresa, and she never paid it till September, so I didn't have a choice but to put it in July of this physical year.
What bill was that?
I'm sorry?
The bill you said, what was the bill?
Tickets to Ride program for the senior center. Which is falling off the face of the earth almost. picked up 4 new writers. They've been infrequent, they've only written one.
This $93 in the first quarter spent on advertising, is that just the paper, or where are you advertising, or what are your advertising expenses for?
Advertising?
Uh-huh. On the state report, it says first quarter year to date, $93.
That's advertising only.
You have an ad in the paper.
Right, $24 a month.
It's just in the Lincoln paper? For everything.
Cali.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you could advertise in the Sylvan paper.
I can do that if you so wish.
Give it a try and see if it does anything. Run a few months and see if it picks up. Anybody?
Well, you had, almost 75 more people this year than last year, right?
I think that's what I figured.
From it wasn't that total people 319 versus 483.
Yeah.
And instead of averaging 1 run a day, it's 1.5. What's the GP stop?
I'm sorry.
What is a GP stop?
General public.
Okay, and the 60 and over is
People,
the
yeah.
age, right?
Right, GP's under 60.
So this September 18th, or of 18, is that extra income you have, the 463, that's the ticket to ride, right?
Come again?
On, you have the state year 2019, you just have the first quarter, and so that extra income under September for $463, is that the ticket to ride bill that you said just got paid? Is that what that means?
463 is the total for the 3
Because you have 142 on fares, but then you have that extra income.
463 is the total of the 3 months.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry. So where's that ticket to ride you said that just got billed?
That's just included
It
in
was
the
included in July.
It's just,
One of
Okay.
those,
People
20 of
get-
those 50 runs were tickets to ride for
Yeah.
one.
they get
Okay, okay, I'm
tickets to
sorry, I
ride.
wasn't seeing that that was a total line.
Are they taking advantage of that ticket to ride deal? Or are there many people taking advantage of that?
Hardly any.
Hardly any.
So most of your stops are the 60 and over. Are those Salina trips, or where is the majority of the travel taking place in that age group? Just in Lincoln itself?
It's fairly difficult to say. I could go back through and segregate out trips out of town, if you like.
No, I'm just curious because some of these are up over 2,000 miles a month, and then some of them are as little as 600 miles a month, and I just wondered.
I would say that, yeah, you can kind of see from the miles.
The majority of the out-of-town trips are in Salina.
Doctor visits and stuff,
Sorry?
doctor appointments and things like that.
Right. I'd say over 90% of them are medical. I'll look for it to fall off the next couple of months due to the weather.
Yeah, I imagine.
Most of the older generations start scheduling stuff in the spring.
My mom used to like to take her bus ride to the doctor's appointments, that way I didn't go. I didn't hear what she wasn't supposed to be doing.
You're right.
Escaping it.
Part of the independent factor.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else have any questions? Jerry?
Well, the
We have
last,
a question out there.
last set of figures there is what I prepared for 2020 budget. It's actually a little bit less than this year. We were approved for $73,166 for this physical year that we're working on, and I've reduced it to $22,110 for next year.
Do you have to submit that to the state
Yeah,
ahead of time?
it's due November 9th. And I get to procrastinate on it for like 6 months before they decide to
Yeah.
approve anything. So we've got.
Okay, Jerry, thank you for the update. Well,
Yep.
it's nice to be able to see the figures here, see where we're at.
Anything different on the reports or additional information?
No?
No, I don't think so. It was pretty complete, I thought.
Okay.
Good to be able to see the numbers.
Yeah, thank you.
Looks like it's gaining a little steam, so hopefully it'll.
Hopefully.
it's a good service if we can try to keep it one. You got a question? I'm sorry, I forgot about it.
Does he run at night?
No.
Okay. Well, K-State out of Salina is renting the gym for a meeting, and they were wondering if the bus could bring some people down to the community center.
It's at night?
It's at night.
I think they're daytime only,
Okay.
I believe.
5 or something.
Couldn't they get the?
And they're pretty restricted on what they can do. I mean, as far as they can't, it has to be, we can't take a group of people. I know one time they wanted to take some people to see the Christmas lights and different things like that. And state has rules as to some things are no-nos. But,
He's doing a meeting on immigration. I have no idea what it's about, except that it's just something to do with immigration. And I told him I would talk to you guys.
When is it?
It's November the 13th. It's on a Tuesday night.
Well, don't we own the bus, the van?
No,
We don't.
no,
Oh.
but the state has women's on.
Okay. Well, that
we
might
have
be
to,
different.
we have to follow their little rules.
I will let him know.
Morning, Leann.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Driver's license has been moved, and we go live with the new driver's license system in the morning.
Woo-hoo.
We have
Everything okay electronically, you think?
Are they, it seems like they're doing a lot of testing, like every Monday?
every Monday.
Every Monday.
Every Monday. We were supposed to go live January 2nd or whatever.
Are all offices doing that every Monday? You know?
We're probably the only driver's license station in the state that does it on Monday.
Oh, really?
The state is closed, and the county has their preference, and we've just always done it on Mondays too. So that's why they chose Monday for their
For the
testing.
testing. I see. I just noticed it seems like every Monday I come and see a sign on the door.
Yep. We are starting to collect some delinquent tax, since the letters have gone out from the county attorney.
A long process. You'd think it would get simplified somehow.
You would think.
How long do you give them on return checks before you turn it over to the county attorney?
10 days or so.
question, not that this is exactly your responsibility, but you know about the fund. Is that how you say it? Delia? Delia? Is that the one with the left palette deal?
Mhm.
And so, this is terrible, I can't remember. Do we appoint the board members for that?
Yes.
And do they have regular meetings?
No, not unless there's
A request?
a application.
Who does that application go to or through? Does it come?
I think it goes to county attorney.
Either that or LaDonna.
LaDonna, yeah, LaDonna. That's
Okay,
right.
because someone had asked me some questions about that, I guess.
We also have, the interest goes into what's called the Children's Healthcare Endowment Fund.
Because we don't have a lot of cleft palate children in Lincoln County. Only one.
So is the
since I've been
principal
here.
retained only for that purpose?
Yes.
Wait, okay, but then interest that we have earned has been in a separate fund?
It goes to
That's
the
the
Children's
question.
Health
Children's what?
Care Endowment Fund.
It gets used fairly regularly.
And is that also
I don't
through
say
LaDonna?
once a year or something.
Yes.
Okay. That answers my question.
In the bequeath, it was specific as to what it could be used for, but there was no wording as to the interest. So
So the
they
interest gets
developed
taken
the Children's
to the other-
Healthcare Endowment Fund.
Okay. For other types of expenses that's medically related, okay.
There's criteria for it, but I can't tell you what that criteria is, but.
And is that the same board?
Yes.
That percent outstanding about what we've been running one for.
I think. As far as I remember, there's only been one time since I've been here that Julia Pitter was used.
I'm looking really loud over here, I apologize if I am. It's like, good lord. Do you hear my paper rustling? I don't mean to be that loud. Maybe you guys are really quiet today.
Those numbers about normal
Or delinquent.
for the delinquent.
Yeah, that's really pretty good.
Yeah. I thought probably a little higher than that, so.
Is this all years or just last year?
For which? The extra. That was just last year's.
That's just last year's.
Do you know how many properties were on the list for the possible tax sale?
A lot. There were a lot of many parcels per on some. But like I said, we've had people coming in, calling for dollar amounts and
Since that listing? Okay, that's good. So the list that I picked up from you, that was just the 4th year back, correct? One out of however many there would be until the last tax sale, right? But the prior tax sale, I should say.
I just gave that to you so you could balance with that.
Okay. Thank you. While I'm looking at this with the cemetery funds, if there was to be an expense out of a cemetery fund, how do they request that? Do you write a check or?
They get disbursements, and
To
then
their
they
own
pay
fund?
their own bills.
So they keep their own banking somewhere? Okay. So do you just disperse twice a year to them? Or?
Depending on how much money's in the fund, there's like 6 distributions a year, but if it's under $50, I'll save it for the next distribution.
Okay. So the ones without a balance, what does that mean?
Have all been dispersed.
Oh, because we're not holding the balance. I think we're not holding the balance, so they have their own. Okay. So is that an elected board? When we elect the township?
No,
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't-
really know how they're formed. I believe they've always just been self-appointed.
So for all we know, some of these don't have any active board members, or
Oh, I think they all have active board members.
Except for the abandoned. Till they're abandoned.
but we don't keep a list of who that would be, or.
No, I just have a contact of who I send the budget and then annual report paperwork to.
Can you tell me who the one for Highland is?
Highland doesn't have one.
It does. Highland Township, Fund 668.
But it's
But they're not
cemetery's
an
called
active
something
township.
else, isn't it?
So they don't have money.
Cemetery's different than
Does it
township.
show that they have money in there?
Not, she said that means we've dispersed it all if we don't show a balance.
No, they
Not
don't have any.
necessarily.
You have to still set up the townships in order to have the taxing districts lined up. But if they don't have an active township, then they don't levy. And Highland Township is not active.
So then we're doing all of that whenever we did our yearly, when we did our,
They have
Bid
nothing
for
to take
mowing.
care of, so they are not an active township.
but the cemetery in Highland,
Didn't we say we took care of?
well, you're saying that's just part of the bid that we did when they got to 3 bids,
Right,
3
that-
mowings per year, or however we did that.
That comes out of county general.
So then who's responsible to fix anything that's going on there? Because if we're mowing it, but it's just,
They don't, we don't fix unless they come to you and you guys approve to fix, would be my assumption.
They're their own taxing entity, correct? The ones that have it.
Yes. So there's like,
well, all of,
speak out of turn because I can't think right off the top of my head, 7 or 8 active townships. The rest are
under
non-active,
us.
so they don't collect any taxes.
So why do we have to keep their funds open?
Because it's how it's set up as a taxing unit. So the taxing unit, you have to identify where the area is at, so that is why. But there's no money that ever goes into it, but you have to give them a number for the taxing units, because every taxing unit comprises of something. There
fire
the township, they're in the
departments,
county,
townships,
they're in the township, they're in a school
city.
district, they're in an extension district, they're in the, they comprise of something.
Okay.
So all of those aspects are included together.
So these ones that specifically say cemetery, they will have their own.
Cemeteries are the cemetery districts. Well, there may be a couple
Like
of
it-
townships.
Vesper, Spillman, Rosette, Free Mission,
Those are cemetery districts.
and Battle Creek.
Those are the
I
ones
see.
that I thought you were talking about earlier, that are self-appointed.
No, I did. Okay.
I didn't realize you were talking about townships, so I apologize.
No, that's my fault. I didn't clarify.
Now, it used to be that they broke out the cemetery and had two funds, but at some point in time prior to me being clerk, Doris had combined them, so they levy all of their money within a general fund for the townships. So if that report shows like Battle Creek Township Cemetery, they used to levy separately for that. Now they can levy it all in the general fund.
But
Just do it
is that
separate.
happening in townships where the county is responsible for the abandoned cemetery?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So Dawn, does that mean you got all of your storage stuff compiled into the room next door?
I don't, yes and no. I have two carts, but the floor is, I think, probably damaged from when we had that water leak, because the weight of one of the carts is making the floor go. So, but it's pretty full, but I have two carts there. There's no way I can get the other two carts from upstairs in that room and have it still be a functioning office or functioning space where the postage machine and the computer system is at. But yes, I got pretty much everything out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And out of the closet is what I meant. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Art Howell, you're on the agenda.
Give me a second, get my, I didn't ask for amount of time, so I'll take whatever you give me this morning in terms of time. Art Howell, Alexis,
Yes, Alexis.
I believe you're my
Yes, we've met.
Terry Finch.
Terry Finch.
Yep.
I don't know if you know Wade Owl, but you
Oh,
probably
yeah.
do. Joe?
Yep. Went to school with him.
It's been maybe since 1960 that I sat before the Lincoln County Commission.
Oh, yeah?
I believe that would have been Deke Wallace, Alvin Luick, and Lawrence Metlin. So that's a long time ago. I'm here today to ask you to support the Article 5 of the United States Constitution and permission to work through the county with your people. At this point in time, we've got applications filed in 47 states to get an Article 5 Convention of the States, which is just an amendment process that the founders gave us for any time that the federal government seemed to be out of control. And I would submit that $21 trillion debt, $22 trillion is out of control. The three areas that this particular application is addressing is some type of term limits throughout the federal. That these are just proposed amendments. They have to be under Article 5. They have to be ratified by 38 states, the same as any amendment that comes out of the legislature, as the 27 that we have did. They were gotten that way, but my primary thing this morning is to just try to get you to sign that application as individuals, ask for your support as a board for the project, and get permission to see the residents, not just in my district, but throughout the county. As we've successfully got 47 state applications filed, so we're working in all 50 states, but we have 12 states who have made application. Texas, Missouri, North Dakota, Arizona, Oklahoma. I better make sure I'm not giving you false information here. I've got those in front of me if I can find them. But anyway, the additional Alaska, Arizona, Louisiana, 12 states have made this application. Kansas is not, and I'd like to see it the 13th before I die of old age. I'm hopeful that's not going to happen right away, because I noticed on the internet this morning that one couple in America at least has just celebrated their 83rd wedding, and I'm still alive, so they're at least the age of my mother and your mother when they're at their deaths, I think. And I point you out, Joel, because I'm pretty dang sure that your mother, Hazel, Mom, and I went to Elma Claire's, I don't remember what function it was, but not too long ago. So I know of, my folks also homesteaded in Battle Creek Township, Lincoln County in 1864. And so I'm just here asking permission and asking for your support. I've been really successful in nationwide in volunteering to make this project. I went to Minneapolis, Minnesota to a meeting 2 months ago, I'd say. And I was honored as the 115th in the top people getting to the 12th state that we've got and getting the applications filed. So I'm drawing pretty state and national notoriety to you folks, and so I now need your help. And Lincoln County, because of Lincoln County and Lincoln and the 1860s, and him being president, we're uniquely positioned to lead this effort. And I need you, as a county commission, consider whether this is your project as well. As an individual, I'm not very successful at it, but with our help as Lincoln County and Kansas. And Kansas, we really need to get a lot of pressure on our House and Senate. We're the only state in the nation that has to have a 2/3 majority to adopt this application. We've got both House and Senate, and I think on our some of the polling at least shows like about 75%, 76% of Kansans want this adopted. So we should not have any. It's not going to be difficult between now and late spring to get this through Kansas, prayerfully, but it will not happen without your support and everybody's support. So,
What are the other states' simple majority?
excuse me.
The other states, you said Kansas is 2/3. Are the other states simple majority?
All the rest simple majority. Of course, Nebraska's a one house federal operation, so it takes 99. Just 2/3. I guess where I'm going with this is that it takes 2/3 of those 99 to get anything that comes out of this convention adopted as. So it's just not. I think it's highly unlikely that we'll get anything out of that 34 state convention on a majority vote that will be supported by 38 states. But the message needs to be sent that we know that exists. And if we're going to save this nation from failure like all others of this type have in about a 200-year period, we'll have to be involved. It may be too late, but I didn't think it's ever too late. So it's a worthy project, and somehow we have to let the national level know that we really understand the 7 articles of the Constitution, and that Article 5 is in there, and that we can force.
Can be utilized, right?
And so that's what I'm here for this morning, to let you know that while I'm getting old and forgetful and not as successful as I was when you and Wade were in high school,
Yeah.
but I brought applications to sign if you happen to see fit to sign them. And but primarily, I'd just like to let you know what I'm doing, and hope that you feel comfortable supporting what we're doing. These are just flyers that kind of get it. And with your permissions, I'll give you each a copy of the Constitution.
Yes, please.
I'm sure my
Thank you.
that of course got.
I have, you gave me one, Art, last spring.
I'd also like to add one thing. If you've watched the hearings with Kavanaugh, he used my copy in those hearings. If you happen to be paying attention, he quote, "It was not my copy, but it looks like my copy." And I carry the federal papers as well. And if you have any questions at all about Article 5 of the Convention states, the 84th part, the last document that the Hamilton Madison J got published trying to get the New York delegation to adopt the Constitution, refers directly to Article 5 in this Convention of States. So grab a copy or go to the internet and look at it if you have any questions about that part of it. Questions before I get out of your hair?
What is that book called that you just referred to?
Excuse me?
What is the book called
That
you've worn the cover of?
Imprimis.
Oh.
IMPRIMIS, I believe is the way to
Yeah.
do. But that's the articles that Hamilton Madison J authored, trying to promote the Constitution or adoption of the Constitution to the 13 colonies, particularly the New York delegation, but used throughout the colonies. And it, along with the Anti-Federalist Papers and some of the other documents at the time, really let you get up to speed on why they stuck that in. And I had an 8-minute presentation by Mark Metzler, who is our national leader in this COS movement, that I'd like to have showed you or put up for you off my iPad, but I do know that you have the 8 minutes now, nor any desire to.
Well, we probably don't. We're running a little behind here, but
Please feel comfortable getting hold of me anytime that any of you that would like to discuss this further. And with your permission, may I leave copies of this Constitution with your clerk and with your audience?
I don't believe there's any problem, Art.
I don't
I don't
think
think there's
so.
any problem talking to anybody in the
Please.
county either.
Thank
Certainly
you.
have the right to have free speech. So.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
you-
for the
have
time.
you joined
But
us?
I shall return. I won't let another 60 years go before I get in front of you.
I understand that you've returned to the county, is that correct?
Excuse me?
You've moved back to the county
I am, temporarily anyway.
temporarily?
Yeah. Even though you're only 3,000 people in the county, including a few cats and dogs, it takes a while to get through. So.
Yeah.
So I'm working in about 16 counties from Hayes to Tuttle Creek and from the border to Reno County right now. So that's the primary area that I'm working in.
Staying busy then.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Appreciate your time.
You bet.
Thank you.
Have a good
Good
day.
to see you.
Okay, Michael, you guys are up.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Copy of this for each one of you. It's case management, kind of has the preliminary schedule of events for the pending lawsuit against Lincoln County.
So are we appointing a defense attorney, or are we?
I believe our insurance company has secured
Yeah.
a lawyer. Last week I visited with a regional engineer out of the Hayes NRCS office concerning the Highland Lake Dam. It's out of their district. It's supposed to be in the Salina area. But Salina, so busy they just didn't have time to come look at anything. But after coming and looking, at this time they said there's really nothing that they will be able to assist us with unless we were to form a watershed district, and then they would be able to potentially aid us in some work there. So
That requires a vote, doesn't it?
I am not sure how you set up.
I think didn't they try to do a watershed district down there on the Elkhorn?
I don't think a lot of people are perceptive to it. So. But Tanner did do some preliminary estimates for us. And this is basically an estimate not knowing exactly what DWR is wanting in the end, because he's requested and they have not been able to provide what their current standard of upgrade would be to. So these are 100% pure estimated for the most part as far as construction and construction engineering. The survey, geological investigation, plan, specs, and design report, you guys are fairly firm on that probably, aren't you?
Right.
Compared to what construction would be. But the estimate comes up to about $330,000, $500.
Yeah. So that includes the survey. So apparently the dam's not permitted. So in order to get a permit to do anything, so I went out and asked them, and they said no, because that last 24-foot section at the bottom rusted out on it. So can they just go do that? And they said no, they cannot. And in order to do that, the dam's got to get permitted. And in order to get it permitted, it needs survey, a geological investigation, plan specs, and a design report to get it permitted. So that's going to cost a little bit, obviously. And then you would have to upgrade it to get it to the current standards, which I reached out to him and said, okay, what do you mean by current standards? And he's supposed to be getting me some information on that. So for the survey, geological investigation, plan specs, design, I'm thinking about 55,000, and then for construction, and then potentially some construction engineering, it's another 275,000. Those are rough estimates.
So that you gave a total.
Yes.
Yep.
Three.
330, 500.
Yep. So that was all the
Yeah.
everything to get the permits, and then also some estimated construction costs.
What's your guess on how much silted in material there is to be removed?
Oh.
And like NRCS and I visited about that, and according to them, they don't not necessarily would want any silt removed. That the dirt needed to upgrade the dam would come from elsewhere, and you'd gain your freeboard instead of going down, but going up. So, and like they said, the dirt that is in the basin of that ponding area is not suited for construction anyways.
Right.
You know, it would be
Correct.
waste. Yeah. So he said usually they don't
I
clean
think
out.
we need to, what is his name? I can't think of it. What is the landowner's name? Brian.
Taylor
Taylor.
and others.
I think we need to contact him and be in communication with him and see what he has, because the last time that I spoke with him, he has tons of documentation. And to get a comparative analysis of whatever you're being told versus whatever he was given on paper from, I suspect, the same departments, just different people working there because of the time lapse. I think that's probably where we should start, is ask him to get involved and know what he knows. Because that's where I heard that in the first place, is that part of the specs that he was given as far as an acceptable upgrade and maintenance of the dam was to remove X amount of silted in material, blah, blah, blah. He has all of that, according to him, when I spoke with him. So I think we need to ask him if he'd be willing to give us copies of his paperwork, and that way we have a starting point. I'm finding that oftentimes you make a contact with a department at the state level, and depending on who you talk to, it's different information. So the more we gather, the better we can decipher what applies to us and what doesn't, etc. Do you have his contact information, or do you need me to get it for you?
I believe I have a mailing address. I don't know if I have a phone number.
Okay. I will get some of that put together this week.
Bridge number OS 107, that is southwest of town here, that we applied for our off-system bridge funding, was denied. They had 79 applications in the amount of approximately $37.5 million of federal funding and $47 million in total construction costs. And KDOT was only able to select 19, so 60 of them were rejected. And unfortunately, ours was one of them. So I guess we will plan on applying again next year when it becomes available to apply.
Kinda stinks. I put a lot of work into that. We'll do it again next year.
19 out of 79.
There's definitely a need, and I know we've been working with the state, trying to get some programs put together here in the future that can help us counties get some bridges replaced. Working a little bit with the State of Kansas Division Task Force with KDOT and see what we can do there. I know the local bridge improvement program was a great deal, but they only offered it 1 year, and there's a lot of bridges around the entire state that we're able to get replaced. On Bridge OS 105, directly west of town here, did some visiting with L&M, and he was able to resubmit another bid for driving pile for us, and he is willing to do that at a cost of $24.70 a linear foot. And we have estimated at this time that it'll take 660 linear feet for that bridge, which comes out to approximately $16,302. That
What was
is
his last bid?
his last bid was a little bit lower on the linear.
Cost per foot?
Yeah, the linear cost per foot was $22.80. But last time he also did charge us $3,600 lump sum for mobilization.
So what's the
And
difference in the two bids?
I do not have that figured at this time. It's
Would you say it was 22 what?
$22.80.
He's not doing a mobilization charge.
It's included in the cost.
Seeing they're already
How many feet?
been a few
60?
miles away.
660. That's
15,
15,000. So 13 looks like we'd be saving approximately $2,300 versus the last bid.
Mobilization cost.
Correct.
Well, I think since they're going to be in the area, that's a good idea to have them do it.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's not something that we can do probably for that price. So
And, you know, and he did mention that the mobilization is not really a big thing for him because he is constantly traveling through anyways, going to other projects. And he said even if we aren't able to get it all done within the limits of having his crew out there, he'd probably possibly have another crew come by that was in between jobs. So
where are they at?
Great Bend. So their mobilization, he didn't say plays a key factor. And he said that he is doing us the same thing as Pawnee County. I guess they're driving all the beam for Pawnee County right now. And seems to be working out for them well. Husker Steel, you know, last time we checked with them, it was a $75,000 bid because the way they operate, they don't
For the same project?
they wouldn't do the
Just
same
the
as what
filing.
we would do. They had to come in, they wanted to do all the welding, setting all the beams, and then basically we would skim the bridge. So that's why their cost is so much higher. Plus you had to buy the metal from them to do it, because they are a metal dealer. L&M did offer me the opportunity to bid the iron through them as a contractor that does a large volume. And I got a bid also from the railroad yard, which we've used numerous times for steel. And his price difference is, I don't have it here exactly, but $3,700 difference. He would be cheaper.
$3,700 in savings through L&M's
Yes,
contract.
and that's just on the H pile. At the time, I didn't have all the other quantities I needed, but I wanted to check the price on at least what the H pile would be.
So if we went through him to get the metal and spent the $16,000 on his work, what's the total project cost?
I don't know yet, because there's a lot more steel that needs added to
Yeah,
this.
Okay.
so
You know-
I put together a couple plan sheets with the materials list.
Mm-hmm.
So this would show the piles. We're going to drive 5 pile. And then those are going to be 50-foot sticks, and then we're going to have 2 piles. These are going to be 20-footers
20 foot.
for the wings. And then here would be a drawing for the superstructure. So you show all the steel beams, the corrugated decking,
Sheet pile,
sheet
wailers.
piling, all of that kind
This
of
is still
details.
105 we're talking about,
Yes.
correct?
Yep. So Michael asked me for a material list. I put that together for him. So the H pile would just be the H pile there. So they would drive those, and the county would potentially do everything else themselves.
Okay.
So
And what's the time frame we're looking at?
the permits, I just sent off the permits. They're good for like a year or two. I sent those off. They're reviewing them. They get 30 days to review the permits. And then it'll be up to Michael on his schedule.
I would love to get it done in spring. The sooner the better. The pile on that bridge, it's sufficient for 3-ton loads, but there are a lot of loads that are not 3 tons that are continuing
Right
to
now.
use it.
Today.
Yes. And even our bridge inspector made that comment when he was recently doing the bridge
Out there last
inspection.
week.
That,
There's semis going across it.
you know, and we can't be there to enforce that.
Are they still thinking October start out here on,
Uh,
or did they bail?
no. Right now they're looking at November 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, they pushed it back due to the rain.
What is the number on that bridge again?
That one is
87.
yes, OS 87.
My feeling is you pursue L&M with steel, see where we're at for total cost.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine guesstimation. The longer we wait, the more it's gonna.
Oh, yeah, the
Oh,
steel's
yeah,
going
steel's
to
gonna
be
go
extremely fast.
Yeah. And he said, you know, that's basically a 30-day price on what he gave me. You know, that doesn't mean that we couldn't buy the steel prior to construction and have it on site.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, get us a price, so we know how much we're
Yeah,
gonna put into that. For materials.
Is he- I
If
mean,
we're
is
gonna
he-
do it, its price is going up, we might as well get it bought.
Well, and we just had L&M and that, what was the other company you said?
Husker Steel.
Are those the only 2 bids we have?
Oh,
on
for
that?
steel, Railroad Yard was the other one on steel.
Okay. But Husker also, what they bid out was the total project though, right?
For the most part, yes.
Well,
It wasn't total project, but it was 75% of it. Plus they require using their engineering and everything. They wouldn't let
Blade
us.
structure.
It's kind of like sending your personal plans to a Wardcraft home dealer and having them build you a home. They just won't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, do we just go ahead and, or do they want a contract for that job? I don't see why we couldn't just go ahead and tell him to proceed with.
I think
Well, I
we'd
think
like
we
to
need
see
a
a
price.
total cost of
Yeah,
the
I think
steel,
we
I
need to
mean,
see a price.
Okay.
well, you do have to operate within a budget.
If you've got a material list there.
Yeah.
So we ought to have that within a week or so, I would think, 2 weeks.
I would hope so. You know, he is able to get the pile pretty quick to me, but it was just one item, so. Yeah, both companies, and I will submit to both companies the complete quantity and see what kind of price we're gonna get. A large quantity of our employees have requested me to see if there is a chance you would be willing to let us go to 4-day work weeks during the winter, adjusting the hours to daylight time.
I don't know if you have that much daylight.
Yeah, and it varies on the morning and night
Time change.
deal too. You have to.
I know the there's numerous counties that have switched to it year-round. The guys feel like they get more done in the 10-hour day and one less day of deadheading. And
Well, I think they do.
oh yeah,
If they have the light to get it done.
and I also
And
believe
they
there's
also have snow in the wintertime too.
yes,
So,
you know, we do run that risk. And I do believe another leading factor in that decision is the fact that a lot of the employees do hold another job that they're able to supplement their income also.
yeah, I understand that.
My problem is that you do for one and you have to do for all. And we don't have the ability to do that across the board for everyone. It's just not feasible. You know, our office staff has to be there 5 days a week. I don't see...
Well, that's an assumed thing. I mean, I guess we could go to 4-day weeks, the courthouse. You know, the public probably isn't going to like it, but the fact remains, I mean, that's just kind of a traditional 5-day a week, you know. School systems are beginning to look at
Yeah,
that,
I've seen that.
4-day weeks, you know. Darkness bothers me a little, you know.
I think
We need some daylight to have a lot of that stuff out on the roads. I think it's just dangerous. I think it's extremely dangerous.
You're gonna, like I said, school, you're gonna have buses out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And if it rains or snows, I mean, then there's a 3-day gap without addressing it potentially.
I can certainly see the employee's point, and if I was an employee, I would like it too. I mean, you know, that's just. I guess the thing that we could do for this winter is to kind of check the daylight and see, you know, I do think you're going to have to move your time.
Yeah.
Times are going to have to vary some way. I'm not sure how you do it, but today, you know, at 7 o'clock it's dark.
Right.
You know, now in 2 weeks it's going to be light.
It's light.
You know, when the time changes. So that's, you know, that's something, and I don't, and maybe the employees would be comfortable with that. I don't know, but they would certainly couldn't say it's going to be a 7 to 5 schedule. I mean, that's just not going to work because of the daylight time. So I guess I'm open to it, you know, but I think we need to seriously consider the implications that would have. And you're right, Lexus. Well, how are we going to deal with the other departments? Because we've already had a couple departments come in and ask, you know, why can't I go to a 4-day week?
Well, I mean, we're spending quite a bit of money on overtime to have other departments that have 24-hour staffing. So there's a big discrepancy there, you know.
Today
The
I'm not
other
going to
thing
vote
I
for
would
it.
like to say is it needs to be a rolling week or something if you're going to do that, because if it's raining Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and they could be out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you know, at some point in time, there has to be some kind of give with that, because how many times are we paying now overtime for our blades to be out because it's finally dried out? That maybe they don't work if it rains.
Mm-hmm. Which defeats the purpose of having an extra job, so it really, there are both sides of that.
I'll think about it, but at this time, I don't think that I would get along with it. I just don't think there's enough daylight out there.
Well, the other thing you
Sure,
could
the
do is
one-
you could split them. I mean, you could have 4 days where you can have a rotating swing week, basically, so that you're not just Monday through Thursday with everyone on, and nobody Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, you may have to do weekend.
Yeah, but, you know, if you have a snow, those blade guys are gonna have to be out on the roofs
Support
regardless of what
staff.
day it is.
You have to have backup
Mechanics.
If they have tires or breakdown and stuff, you gotta have a mechanic crew around to back them up.
Moving snow is something you gotta know what you're doing. going at a higher rate of speed, or,
Obstructions are hidden,
yeah.
but everything is.
I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but at this time, I guess I would be in favor of it.
Very well. A couple weeks ago, the landfill visited with our mechanics about doing some repairs on their backhoe. It started out as, I guess the whole front end kind of needs rebuilt. It is getting sloppy. Bushings have worn out, potentially getting into the hard parts beyond the bushing. We visited with our local JCB dealer, which is now in Superior, Nebraska, as Salina has closed down, and tried to get a parts list on some of the stuff that was mentioned, and it was going to be like $4,500 in parts just for that. And I asked the mechanics, I said, is there anything else on the machine that needs to be looked at and replaced while we're at it? You know, and the landfill mentioned they'd like to have all the hoses replaced on it. JCB uses a special end on their hoses. It's not something that you can get here in Lincoln. You have to go to Salina, like Ginder's or Continental, or a JCB dealer to get them. And so I had them call up to the JCB dealer and see if they would come down and do an assessment on the machine to see if it was worth putting that kind of dollars into that machine. And they said that they would charge 20 cents a mile and $100 an hour from the time they left the shop until they got back to the shop. And I didn't feel that that would be a smart investment. So I visited with Caterpillar, because they do that service for free, and they said they would be more than willing to come out and do an assessment on the machine. And I believe the mechanics are going to be getting some more information for us, but what Foley had told us was that the front end appears to be the point where it needs to go to a machine shop, pins rebuilt, bushings replaced in the front end as far as the front end goes, and then the loader bucket, all the pins and bushings are shot on it. Same goes for the back of the machine. The main horse's head in the middle, I can't remember what it was called. It has got a lot of slop in it, and it's a cast steel, so it'd have to be replaced, not repairable. And then numerous pins and bushings throughout the boom also. And I don't know what those costs are at this time, but, you know, if you're going to fix one, I don't know why you would not fix the other. So you'd potentially be looking at $25,000, $30,000 on this machine. So
How many hours you got on it?
I can't remember what was on there, but the hour meter had been replaced a couple of times. So I don't know how many are on it. I believe James Miller was trying to say they put 40 hours a month on it, I believe, approximately 40 to 80 hours a month.
And
So
you had it for how long?
I believe that's a 94 model, 24 years old.
We bought it new,
I
Yeah.
believe so.
I'm pretty
That
sure
was
you
before
did.
my time.
so that's 11,500
But
on whatever hasn't been replaced.
you know, I just thought I'd bring it to your guys' attention and kind of let you guys help in a decision on that. My initial feeling is that it's a pretty good investment to a machine that may last 2 years, 4 years, 5 years until you have a failure within the transmission or the engine or something like that. You know, that was my viewpoint. But guys have any thoughts on that, or?
It has never had anything major done to it, has it? Or do you-
Boy, not that I'm aware of anyways.
10,000 hours is kind of that magical number. I mean, in the tractors, I mean, that's kind of where we look at, you know, that there's going to be some major problems coming up. Foley's didn't give you an estimate of what a new one or anything like that?
No, they weren't. The guy that does that is not in sales, so he has nothing to do with trying to make a sale. He was just telling us what, in his opinion, would need to be done to bring it up to what the employee at the landfill was hoping for.
I was bought a hoe 6 months ago. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This spring.
What, 109?
109, I think. You know, it's a little bit more than what I think they would need, size-wise, but I'd be willing to sell it to them if I could get a track excavator.
That's a extended hoe.
The landfill is not, but they would really like to
Yeah,
have
they
extend
need
a hoe
to have it
and
there.
four-wheel drive, yes.
Packing that trash for the one we bought was an extended hoe.
Yes.
Who does, you said that it started because the landfill had asked the shop to do some repairs on it. Who does that typically? I mean, if another department owns machinery and it needs worked on, are you sending guys out there? Are they sending equipment here? How does that process
It
work?
depends on what needs done, but, you know, for the landfill's the only other place we do that with. I know we share.
I'm just saying in general, like we have equipment over in Sylvan, you have equipment up in Barnard, etc. So, you know, does it come here?
Depends
Or-
on what's needed.
Okay.
You know, if it can be done in the field and be cleanly enough, yes, we'll do it in the field. But if it needs to be in the shop, we'll bring it to the shop.
So who's been working on that particular JCB? The highway department or the landfill?
I think the landfill been doing a lot of that.
Yeah,
They
some
bring
of
it in, they do services in the shop and whatnot. And we haven't really been requested to do much of anything to it that
I
I'm
don't
aware
think
of.
it's had much done to it.
You know, I know we had some air conditioning issues a year or two ago, and we tried to get them repaired, but JCB does not have that stuff, and I guess they took it to a local dealership where they were able to mix match some parts from other equipment and get it to work. But I know we've done some little stuff like welding on the bucket or items like that, but
Do they do their own regular maintenance?
for the most part, yeah. I don't know that they bring it in and our guys do the service. The way I remember it, they've always done those services themselves. It's the way they've wanted to do it, so.
So do they buy their own products or do they buy them from the highway department or how's that work?
I believe it just gets bought through the highway department. So we have all that stuff on hand. Carry the filters and the oil and whatnot.
Well, the landfill backhoe is part of the capital improvement fund, isn't it, Dawn?
Yes. But I also think they, no, I should hush,
It appears they have some money.
that's what I was gonna say. but-
Yes, they have some money. I looked. You may have to supplement some of it, but my feeling is that you start looking for bids too. I mean, I think you need to look for bids on it. We're talking about 11,000 hours. You named all that stuff that's wrong. Some of it's gonna have to be machined. I think we're spending a lot of money on something that if we would replace, that we probably wouldn't have those expenses. You're talking about, you're right, you're talking about 3 or 4 year fix, and we'll be back to the same place we're at. Nothing can ever get built back to the way it should be. It'll be a lot better.
Well, and you're not addressing the
No, you're not.
While you're talking about, you're not addressing the two expensive things, the engine and the transmission.
Yeah.
Through the Federal Highway Administration, KDOT has a new program that has just been released within, what, a week or so? 2 weeks or
Yeah,
so?
it's been a couple weeks.
And it's a bundling project in which they're looking for counties to bundle some projects to get together to show some need. It's being offered in, what, 25 states across the country,
Yeah.
and a total of $225 million between the 25 states.
So this was the memo that was sent out. Like Michael said, it's a $225 million program, and it's through all the rural states. Rural being, I think it's 100 people per like square mile.
Per square mile.
Right, right. And it's about 25 states. So this is a brand new program. It's an 80-20 split. So that's everything. I know, like the Offices and Bridge program, it's 80-20 just on construction. This is 80-20 over engineering and design, the whole thing. All bridges, FAS, and off system are eligible for it. And the county can submit multiple bridges, and they don't have to be classified as deficient or structural obsolete or anything like that. The applications are due by the counties by October 31st. So pretty quick. I think they only, it's been out 2 weeks. And
No, nothing about numbers, cost.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm almost there. October 31st is when KDOT, we've got to submit them to KDOT, and then KDOT's going to take the applications and submit them to the Federal Highway December 4th. Bob and Michael have looked at a couple bridges. And you guys were thinking off system 65.
OS 65 and RS 570. OS 65 is on Kiowa with the county line west of Sylvan. RS 570 is on Iron Drive between the old highway and Dean Panzer's. There's a fairly long span bridge there that, you know, both would benefit us to be replaced. And the fact that you can use this money on RS system bridge is excellent, because we have no other way to get funding for that really at this time.
You said 570.
Yes, RS 570, yes.
It's a pretty deep channel.
It's fair, yes.
I meant numbers as in their requirements for numbers, or what their, and there's no information on that memo about what they're funding materially, physically, materially.
Just
I think
80-20.
80-20. So anything that would apply to the structure. So
What I'm getting at is, if we're combining our efforts with other counties, are we looking to show dollar need? Are we looking to show factual need with photo, graphic evidence? Or
yeah, so there is an application, and it's a brand new program.
Right.
So we're actually doing an application for Rice County right now. We plan on using an example for the other counties that are interested. I haven't worked on the application, but it has like cost-benefit analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is some need, and maybe you can save some money by bundling this. And then there's some other things in the application. The application is pretty lengthy, so that's why we're asking today.
Yeah.
So the Michael's asked me, well, how much are these bridges going to cost? Well, we looked at RS 570. We're thinking about a $400,000 bridge there. Off system 65, about $700,000 to $800,000 there. So if you add those together, you're at $1.2 million. Plus, you're going to have geotech, design, CE services. So we estimate about another $300,000 there. So we're looking at, and these are estimated budgetary, 1.5 million for both these structures, and then the county would have to come up with 20% of that. So about 300,000 is what we came up with.
And you can put in for two.
Yeah, you can put
Or
as many
five.
as you want. You can.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How does a county determine to classify their need. I mean, if you're funding something, do you want to see your money, the same dollar amount, fix 10 bridges that don't need as much work, or do you want that same dollar amount to replace 2 bridges that need completely redone? You know, I know you don't know because it's a new program, but there's nothing on this memo that indicates.
And the state doesn't have any information to give to us.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
You know,
You ask them these
Who
questions.
is this
and
through? The
Federal Highway.
This
Federal.
map that I put together, these bridges picked out was the kind of lower sufficiency
Yes.
or ones
Uh-huh.
that had narrow bridges so we could widen stuff like that.
and these are all would be full replacements. Is that the ones that are highlighted here?
Yeah, these are just some that I went through the bridge inspection book and picked out the lowest sufficiency ratings on them and kind of on a main road it would benefit the public and stuff the most, stuff like that.
Here's the full document, if you wanted that. I guess you can have my copy. I've got it on the computer back in the office. But it talks about the application and all that stuff.
Well, 65 is a bridge that was never built without.
funding. Yeah, we would have to have
There's no
funding
way
on
we
that.
could ever build that bridge without funding.
Uh-huh.
So, by going any other route, you're talking about 6 years at least before you get it into the cycle.
Potentially.
You're only gonna get one every other year at best.
And being a more expensive bridge, where they're going to cover more of that 80%, you know, I show a big value in that also. You know, I think, if I remember right, I think just about everything qualifies for the program except for right-of-way and utilities.
So what this says is the funds must be used for highway bridge replacement and rehabilitation projects on public roads that demonstrate cost savings by bundling multiple highway bridge projects. So who's demonstrating the cost savings? I mean, if the only way to have cost savings is to combine the efforts because you're doing them at the same time with the same contractors and you're in the same region, so to speak, who's doing that analysis?
So we're going to submit them to the state. We have to have them submitted to KDOT by October 31st. And then they're actually going to take the applications and potentially bundle them even further with other counties. And they have to submit it to the feds by December 4th. So KDOT's actually going to, the application's going to
They're going to do their own
Yep.
analysis of what they get in when they look at the regions and see.
Right.
So we are better off to pick two that are kind of closer together because if, let's say, perchance Russell County is doing the west
Right,
or the east
right.
end and we're doing the west end,
Right.
physically that makes a difference.
Right. So right now we've got Southwest Kansas. We have 5 or 6 counties that want to bundle together and do one big application.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I also see, though, just like on that previous Bridge 105 visiting with L&M Construction, you know, if, let's say there's 6 bridges, even up in north central Kansas, over 6 or 7 counties, if that one contractor is able to bid and win all of those, a travel of 100 miles is
Right.
nothing for them.
When you're looking regionally,
Yeah.
that's why I was asking,
Yeah.
like, who determines what groups go together is kind of.
I would assume that would be KDOT.
Yes, KDOT's going to put that together.
Are you said Rice County, or is Kirkham Michael doing any other counties that you're aware of since it's only a 2-week, or less, it's a week away?
Yeah, we've had a lot of interest.
Any of our neighbors is what I'm getting at.
Any of your neighbors, potentially Russell County? I know they've had some turnover there. So I think John, my boss, has been talking to them. And I haven't really heard of any other ones.
I assume Mitchell's still working with Schwalbe.
Potentially.
25. This is nationwide.
25 states.
25.
There's 25 states identified on one of those sheets.
Yeah, they're classified as being a rural state.
Less than 100%.
It's only 225 million.
225 million, so
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
divide that between 25
Yeah,
states.
it sounds like a lot, but then you.
The odds are getting slimmer all the time.
Yeah.
Or I think Iowa has the biggest number of bridges, I believe, large
Yeah.
number of
Eligible
bridges.
applicants: Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Colorado, Idaho, Iowa, Kansas, Maine, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Oregon, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, Vermont, West Virginia, and Wyoming.
You know,
You
some
know,
of
it
those.
doesn't hurt to try. That's, I guess it
Well,
doesn't
yeah, I
hurt
mean,
to
we should
try.
definitely put in for it. I would agree with the bridges that you selected. I mean, as far as
There,
I had brought up 65 before as a concern,
Right.
so
there will probably be a cost associated, didn't you mention,
Yeah, so
that normally we don't have?
like usually the Auto System Bridge Program application, do it for free because it only takes a couple hours. The application is pretty in depth. You got to do a cost benefit analysis and all that stuff. Like we plan on using, I think Rice counties as an example. So obviously it's going to speed things up, but I try to be pretty efficient when I work on stuff. So we're thinking just set up a mon code and then give me a few hours to work on it. So
Do you
I'm
have
thinking a couple $1,000. I know.
it's
Yeah.
worth it for the
Oh, I
chance
think-
that we
I-
have
yeah,
city
I think we
assistance.
do.
So,
I don't-
yeah.
I think we don't try to take advantage of it, we're fools, so.
Yep.
And
Or
I agree
even doing
with
the cost benefit analysis or something down the road and we go to retry to do those bridges, we'll have that
Right.
much of it
Right.
that's been accomplished, so.
Yep. Okay. So I gotta get to work. Don't do it.
The replacement structure must meet the current geometric, construction, and structural standards required for these types of volume of projected traffic on the facility over its design length. Have you looked into that at all on those
Just
two?
the new structure would have to meet all the requirements. Yeah, that's typically all the structures that we design.
As defined in 23 CFR, I don't know what that is what I'm saying. As defined in 23 CFR 650.405, as project requirements necessary to perform major work required to restore the structural integrity of the bridge, as well as the work necessary to correct major safety defects, except as noted. What's the CFR code, or is that
It's like a standard code.
manual? Some sort
Yeah, I
of
think
like
there's
federal.
Code of the Federal Register, I
Ash code.
believe. Basically, like what a state statute is, that's the federal code.
Right.
Each eligible applicant may submit no more than 3 applications.
Yeah, so if you want to bundle these two, and bundle these two, you can't submit more than 3.
3 separate.
I don't know why they don't just put all 6 in one.
One application, right?
So, the thing is, I think that's the state. At the end of the day, the state's following by that same guidebook as which we are, so the state's gonna have to look at 3 regions in which they submit. I believe that's where that would come into play. Because at the end of the day, the state is the applicant, not the county.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Well, you have most of the information as far as daily traffic.
Right. It's a bunch of that's on the SINA.
The description is what I'd suggest to be thorough on. It says, provide a concise description of the project, the transportation challenges it expects to address, and how it will address those challenges. For example, one of the things I brought up was 65 isn't sufficient to maintain the weight of an ambulance. And it's one of the only throughways
Yeah.
between north and south roads to go west, other than
Right.
traveling several miles to the south.
And then it's probably a bus route.
Yeah, they do use it from time to time because it comes from the
They use
elementary school to the daycare there. There's a daycare on the other side of
Uh-huh.
that bridge, so.
Bus route, mail route. So yeah, we can put all that in the description.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
Mhm. I'll give this back to you. I just kind of wanted to see how how detailed it is.
Yeah, and if you want a PDF, we can send you they sent us a PDF copy, so I printed it just to have it.
Well, if you want some help with input on the description, other
Okay.
than that, I can't help you because you have all the statistics.
Right,
so-
right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank Thank you guys, appreciate it. That's all I have.
That's short notice, yeah.
Yeah, it's, they threw it on us, and all the counties started emailing it to us. We're like, we only have a month to do this.
You know, we do run a good chance that there could be a whole handful of states that just say, hey, we don't have time.
to
Right.
deal with it.
So, you know, that could exponentially increase the amount of money that could come
Sure.
to the state of Kansas and or this county, so.
If they would just lower that population for 100 square miles, we might
Yeah.
do a little better than the others.
Just an update on the vinyl bridge inspections. Our inspector finished them up last week. So we're going to work on getting the information into the web portal and making reports. And then hopefully in a couple months I'll have those for you guys. So working on that. And then let's see, health department. I've been meaning to talk about this. You have time for this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Bring you guys off the aerial. I'm very visual, so I like documents and stuff. You, Michael. Sorry, Bob.
That's
You can
okay.
look over my shoulder.
I've seen it before.
Yeah. So we went out last month and took some initial. We set up a transit, did some shots to figure out how the water was flowing through this area. Because I believe the concern was told that there's water on the side of the building here, and then also it stands behind the health department there. So we went and took some shots. It looks like the main area of the water is your water coming off this, I'm just going to call it an alley, and then another side alley. Coming off here, and then it goes over here and it flows down, and you can see where it kind of slows down and deposits some of that silt there. And then it looks like it just slowly drains over on the side. So it looks like there's water standing back here, and then also around the building.
And when the water comes hard, I believe it can go in that back door because the elevation of that back door is the elevation of the parking lot.
It's just so low. Okay, so there's 3 areas of water. There's this water, the water coming off the building, and then this water coming off the parking lot. What we have kind of thrown around is kind of coming and V-shaping kind of this alley to not let this water get into this parking lot here, and then to send it to the street down here. And then also the water coming off the building, you could extend those gutters so that is caught or collected in that V. And then for this back here, it looks like they usually V-shape parking lots, so they should have built it so it V towards the middle here and then out here, but they didn't do that. They did V this side, but this side is pretty flat, so it almost runs. I think it runs more like this.
You can see that from the deposits.
Yep. Which they probably had the back side of the building that they needed to, the elevation they needed to match, and so they just matched it. So this is going to be tricky on what you're going to do with that water.
Well, if it doesn't come onto, this is concrete, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come onto the concrete, then the little bit that's shed off of it may not pose a problem. It's more, what I see is exactly what you're showing. You can just see the dark deposits.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it looks like it's just coming right there in front of that one
They
particular
put a
car.
curve kind of up there at one time, but
People drove over it and it's just
Can
washing
you not
over
angle
top.
this whole alley slanted to have it drain down this
Potentially.
east
Yeah,
side?
yeah,
Is that
you
the
could.
east side?
You could potentially do that.
Yeah.
It's gravel, right?
No, it's
Oh.
asphalt. And
Is
depending
this
on
gravel
how
on the other side?
No. Oh, what other side?
On the
Like
west
this,
side? Is that
yeah.
the west side?
There's some millings that have been put in there, but it's not asphalt. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So then you need to talk to the city.
Yeah, and that's what I found.
Yeah.
I put a call into Jesse and he never returned my
but
call.
I don't
but
think they don't own the alley.
They think they don't, but they do.
They
Who
do.
does? Oh.
It shows it open.
It's on the original plat and
Yeah.
there's nothing that's ever been filed to close it, so.
If there's an alley, then who owns it?
They
The
The
voided,
property owner to the center?
Imagine unless there's other arrangements made.
they voided denying ownership of it, but
Well, that's probably why they don't return the call, but that's what the county has on from platted and how taxation's been being done.
Is this road to the north gravel? Or is it? That's asphalt?
That's asphalt.
What are these? Is that just deterioration where the dark spots are? Or?
Patches.
Yeah,
after
patches.
Newer
Okay.
material been put in.
Patches.
Well, Donna said something about gravel. Is there gravel up against this sidewall to the?
There's some rock,
Yeah,
landscape rock.
They got some like landscape rock.
So is it actually, is the water wicking at all, or is it just that it sits against?
I don't know if a person could tell without removing siding, and
Yeah.
everything's covered. That's
Right. We just.
but I believe it's been witnessed when the water has been running over the elevation of the siding there. So, excuse me, sorry about that.
Yes, those are some of our preliminary ideas. If you kind of get all that water and take it to the street, then it won't be coming onto that.
That should be the
And that
majority
runs
of the
water
problem.
away from the rock into the alley too.
Yeah. Yep. So.
So just get back to us with what the city says, or?
Is that what you want us to do? Is have me go ahead and work with the city on this,
Yeah.
or
I mean, I would say we can't do anything particularly. It's not really
without permission? Yeah.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think we need to bring them into the discussion. Yeah.
You didn't put any preliminary costs together of if we did V it, what it would cost.
No, because I didn't. Because if you want to go back concrete, it's going to cost more than probably asphalt is. I didn't put any numbers together.
how much of this material, like there's loose material obviously that's gotten pushed up onto the concrete, how much is sitting on top of that by water?
Here's some pictures.
Yeah.
There's a little bit.
What gets tracked in and deterioration of the asphalt, basically.
Yeah. Is that what you meant by curb?
It's like some of the limestone.
They kind of blockaded the. Yeah, it's almost
right
the
here.
same exact
There's a
level.
curb, you can see they put in a curb. Right here.
Yeah.
There, you can see that picture of.
Like, yeah, it's humped up right there.
Tried to stop some, I think it stopped some of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And the city did do that
Yeah.
against their wishes, but
When was that?
2
Several
years
years
ago,
ago.
2-3 years ago.
But it's just a little hump like a speed
Yeah,
hump.
yeah, yeah.
Cars drive
If you get a
over it.
flow, that's not gonna stop.
Cars
it.
drive over it,
Mm-hmm.
but without reshaping it on into the alley and being hit by it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of loose
I
material
believe there
there.
stands a chance of utilities potentially needing relocated
Right.
and everything else to get it to the depth where it would be effective.
Yeah, I don't think the concrete probably, because there's utilities through there they're gonna be digging into on occasion, so I think asphalt's gonna be your only solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely have to do a one call and figure out what we're doing.
It'd be a headache.
Thanks for the pictures. That definitely helps.
Yeah, I'm very
It does.
visual, so
Yeah.
it's nice just to print out pictures and you can explain stuff a little easier. Okay, let's see. And then, we need to set a couple bunch marks this afternoon for those permits on the structure to be replaced. Federal highway. I'm going to talk about tuck point. In the last meeting, we talked about tuck pointing some of the stone masonry arch structures. So I looked into the, being eligible for historical significance and being registered. So if you're actually registered, then you have to follow all their tuck pointing specs, yada, yada, yada. If you're not registered, you can pretty much do whatever you want. These structures, I looked at a few of them, they're not registered, so that's good. We typically don't recommend to go out and register a structure. So the county can pretty much do, whatever you guys want. I know we kind of looked at the old spec you used on the last project. And it looks like we did one project and we added a little more cement to our mix. So we could potentially make the mix a little bit stronger, but not strong enough so you want it to fail, you don't want your rock to fail.
Yeah.
So, yes, I thought I'd give you an update on.
Can we do this with the stone bridges?
Some of them I think you could,
We could.
I'm
I
saying
think
if
we
we
could put
if
something
we do
together.
this, then when we do try to get some bids on this,
Oh,
we
yeah.
can just say, hey, just this region, this quadrant, or
Right.
do you know what I mean? I think that might
A
be a
lot
good
of the
place.
stone arches aren't bridges though, they're culverts, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and everybody calls them bridges, but
Yeah,
they're
they're culverts.
not, they look like it.
I just mean to have a visual map, just so we know, we can say, you know, we'll start here, or we'll start there, and,
Yeah.
because we have 4 there, we can do that this year, and there's 18 up here, so we're not gonna do that until we allocate budget funds or something like that.
Yeah, I could put together for bridges.
I mean, I know there are a lot right around here,
Right.
but
If
I'm
they're,
not familiar with it.
if they're a bridge, then we could take your bridge map, showing all the bridges, and
What
we
is
can
it,
just
20 feet, or?
yeah, 20-foot span. But anything culvert wise, Michael and Bob are going to know more where those are at than I am.
Yeah, or if you ask your blade operators to send in the locations, because what we'd hypothetically do is say you have a few bridges in that area, make sure you hit all those culverts as well. There are even some right on 6th that, you know, goes to the highway there, the chip seal road, that need looked at before it gets too late.
You talk about blade operators, I've had some of them right after they've done an inspection, I said, someday you need to stop and check that bridge or something. It's not a bridge. Well, I thought they checked all bridges, and I said, no, because it's lacking maybe a half a foot of being a
Culvert,
qualified
yeah.
bridge, so you're gonna have to crawl off the blade and go look at it once in a while, and make sure there isn't something going wrong.
Right. Yeah.
When I'm out, I try to look at them, but I can't
Get everyone.
get them, there's another 400 or so out there, so.
Well, this is why if we stress to them the importance of utilizing the program that you brought in, Michael, I mean, it would consolidate all that information for us in a short amount of time. You can even attach pictures. Then when you look it up, you pull it up and you don't have to actually physically go there in person every single time.
Yeah, we visited with the employees on that program, and it was not very well perceived that we continue it according to their opinion. I see both sides of it, I really do.
Okay, you guys got anything else?
That'll be it for me.
I got it on other than been trying to fix up some wash places and pipe repair and stuff from all the water and rain we've had. Trying to catch up on some of that stuff.
Surprising, harder than it rained, it went across a lot of places. Too much
Rained
of
and
it.
rained and rained and rained and,
Could have been a lot worse than it was, though.
yeah.
We lucked out.
Didn't have a lot of pipes that were washed out or bridges or anything, so pretty lucky.
I just got one more thing. Michael kind of approached me and asked about road material in the different quarries around the state, county. I'm thinking federal.
Yeah.
So we're going to start kind of working in some gradations. So we're going to take the material. I brought a bunch of sample bags. We're going to start shaking it. I'm going to try to maybe bring a couple back every time I come down. And it's going to be over a few months. And we're going to shake it, and then we're going to run a gradation on it, and then we're going to kind of look at the material, how many fines are in it, how much bigger stuff's in it, and then kind of compare that to some KDOT specs for like a gravel road and stuff. So I just FYI.
Excellent.
So.
But one of the key factors in our natural gravel is the clay. And in order to get an analysis on the clay, that is very time consuming and potentially
Right.
expensive also, so we're not going to be looking at that at this time.
Yeah.
I believe you guys have to send it off to you.
Yeah,
can't
it would
do
go
that
to
in-house. So,
separate analysis.
so
Well, even just to have specifications as to what's in what
Right.
pit is going
Right.
to be helpful for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Do you work with any counties that do their own screen sifting?
Screen sifting. I usually go to counties that have the sieves and stuff to do it, but they don't usually use them. They usually have them. They're in the back room. We've got a lab set up, so we do it. So we're going to be doing it for the off system 87 bridge. We're going to be looking at all the material going in that structure.
Were you asking about a screen plant in the gravel pit? Was that your question?
Oh, sorry. I was thinking of a gradation.
That's okay.
There are some counties that do, but then you got to meet MSHA, and those, what I've heard, they're pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have dealt with them or not.
Of course I.
I've heard they've enjoyed counties this year, last 2 years, I believe. And the
More
counties,
federal bureaucracy.
yeah, when it wasn't a mutual love.
I didn't realize they were involved in screening plants.
Yeah.
Once you process other than piling, you become a mining operation.
Yep. A county that they had to move their screen plant. Another person had the quarry. Well, they had their screen plant out there, and they were running it to save some money and stuff, and even helping the quarry out. And they had to go through all the classes and stuff, and the county actually told them, no, we're not following your rules. And it's like, they called me, I was like, this is a federal regulation, you've got to follow them. So they ended up having to, their screen plant didn't have a bunch of guards and stuff, so they just folded their screen plant up and took it off, and then said it was closed. So
That's ridiculous.
yeah, it's driving the prices.
Ridiculous, yeah.
And if we started processing, it would limit the farmer's ability to use the property at all. You know, they would no longer be able to leave it fenced in their pasture due to potentially killing a critter. And if the landowner does pass through, he would also be bound by the same rules. He could not exit his vehicle on that property. He would have to wear hard hats. He would have to have steel toes. He would have to have safety glasses. And, you know, the same would be for all of our employees while they're on that site. So
Because the class, because, yeah.
it's a game changer. It really is.
Okay.
Well, you all have a good week, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
hopefully we
No
don't get,
moisture coming, it sounds
Yeah.
like maybe.
hopefully we don't get too much.
Do you have to have some kind of signature on that application before the 31st?
That's a good question.
Because we're going to be meeting on Monday, but we're not going to have, that's probably going to be our end of month as well, so that'll be the only chance if you have to have.
If you guys would approve me, I'll just go ahead and sign it if that's fine
Yeah.
with you guys.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you can
that's
sign
fine.
it.
Okay, application first, okay.
What I usually do. So. Sounds perfect. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
you. Randy, you're up.
I'm Randy Pickering, RanDan. I've never met you.
Alexis.
Hi. I'm here for my yearly meeting. I guess, as normal, does the commission have any concerns or complaints?
I don't.
Nobody has any complaints? Okay. Well, everything's pretty much the same, you know, been running the same. We still have the big container problem and the animal waste problem. And
Could you elaborate on what that means? I'm not.
animal waste,
Well, the big container problem.
the
and
big 90, the big tall
Barrels.
green cans, those are illegal containers.
With the flip lids on them?
Yes, for this contract. The Lincoln County contract is
Not
32 gallon.
Yeah,
It's
he's
the
talking about
maximum.
the residential containers.
Okay.
not the-
This
So
contract just is for residential pickup,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay? So in this contract, Lincoln County's contract is a 32 gallon container. and we're
One
getting,
per household, is that the?
it doesn't matter how
Oh,
many,
It just has to be that size.
It's
But
just
we're
the
getting
weight
the-
of a big, huge barrel.
the big, tall ones.
Okay.
And, you know, we've allowed them to use them if they'll bag it. Well, we're getting where we gotta manhandle them, and it's the same issue, has been for the past 20 years. I've been doing this for 26 years, so nothing's really changed. But, the animal waste has picked up. I do have a list for you.
They're not supposed to dispose of animal waste in their garbage?
Not that I'm aware of.
Where would you put it if you lived in town?
Oh, you can throw it on the ground. I mean, if you dispose of cat litter turns to clay when it's wet.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, in a lot of your major cities, it's a hazardous material because animals have fluids.
Diseases.
They've been to a vet, you know, they give them a drug, whatever, that comes out of their system. And, you know, a lot of towns won't let you pick it up now.
So where do they put it?
Where do they put it? I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you lived in the city and you had a small yard and you had a cat and you were cleaning
Well,
your
most
cat.
of your, you can put it, it'll biodegrade itself. I mean, we're transferring cat and dog manure to Salina, in other words.
Mm-hmm.
We're paying to dispose of cat and dog manure in Salina at whatever a ton. I mean, that's up to the commission, you know.
Well, it's mixed
It
in
was
with
never,
everything.
it was never put into the contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's just been mentioned, you know, we've mentioned it. But, it's getting out of hand. And I have a list of the addresses. I'll give Dawn a copy.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm sure there's more than what this is. Biggest trouble is here, Lincoln.
You're talking
So-
about the large quantities, you're not talking about this, people that sprinkle it into their normal there.
I mean, I'm just saying, in their defense, I wouldn't know. But I would just
Right.
think that you put it in the garbage. I mean, you couldn't pile it up in your yard. I'm sure that's some kind of city ordinance to not have a 3-foot high pile of manure.
Well, what I'm saying is too, there's individuals here that will have 8 to 10 bags of animal manure a week.
No, that's interesting.
I mean, that's not garbage. Is, you know. Fuel's up from last year. Let's see. I got it wrote down here. Just gotta be able to see it. Fuel's up, I guess I forgot to write it down. It's up about 50-some cents from last year. And, I know good when I wrote it, wrong sheet. Yeah, might help. 55 cents higher, fuel's 55 cents higher this year than it was all last year. And, how I do my fuel is I take the high-low per month, and then I average it for the year. And since since I meet with you guys in October usually for if I want a rate adjustment, so the figures I'm giving you is from October last year through October right now. And for 218, average fuel was $2.94. 217, it was $2.39. So fuel's up 55 cents for the year. That's high-low. I do the average. As far as my insurance, last year it was down, or I kept it the same as 16. Was in contact with the agent this past week, kind of seeing what was gonna happen, and he's saying 4 to 5% increase. And it's not necessarily what's going on here, it's what's going on everywhere else. You know, we get to help pay for it. But, for the last 2 years, I've been running on the same rate, $9.55, and, I'd like to ask for a 2% increase. And it's up to the commission what you wanna do with that, but
Aren't we in the middle of the contract? I thought it was wasn't it a 3-year contract?
it's a 5-year contract. But I come in every October to renegotiate rate adjustments.
So what is the benefit of the contract to the county if it's negotiable every year?
Well, you can't guess fuel prices 5 years in advance.
But that's what I'm saying.
We
That's
can't
exactly
even
what I'm
guess
saying.
for our
Why would you
budget
sign for
year.
5 years if you can't? If you have to adjust the rates yearly, why would it be a 5-year contract anyhow? Is what I'm saying.
We don't adjust it really. You say it's just been, last 2 years you haven't changed it.
17 and 18, I ran at the same rate.
Do you have contracts in other counties too?
No,
Just Lincoln?
I only haul in Lincoln County.
You don't have any other services outside of the county?
No. I've been contacted, but no. I only haul Lincoln County trash to Lincoln County landfill.
So you don't have any other like private? You don't do private contracts with anyone else?
Commercial,
Or yeah, or anything. I'm just questioning.
I do
You don't have to
commercial
answer, but-
throughout the whole county. I mean,
But not outside the county.
not outside the county. No, I do not haul outside of the county.
So do you, when you're dumping, whether it's commercial or residential, which is contracted, do you have to register that at the landfill and say, okay, this dump is all my residential, or do you just pick everything up together?
Pick it all up together.
So you get to dump at our dump your commercial contract waste and not pay for it,
You collect it.
but you don't pay it by the weight.
No.
All he contracts for is the collection.
You guys have a county disposal fee that you bill each business every month, or they have the right to pay it by the year, by weight.
Well, we'll take that under consideration.
Okay. Other than that, that's basically all I have. And I will give clerk's office a copy of this animal waste list.
Okay.
I guess if there's any other questions, if not, I'm out of here.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
I'll leave it with Hannah, or she up there, or she go to dinner.
She might have, if you want to.
I wanted to just take a few minutes about the Lincoln Park Manor, if we could.
Do what?
Could we talk about Lincoln Park Manor before we adjourn?
Oh, good stuff.
Yeah, we need to do something with HR.
Well, that too. Yeah, let's do
But
that first.
I would like to get it done as quickly as we can. 'Cause
Sure.
I need to be gone.
Sure.
12 o'clock.
I guess we need an executive session, I suppose, for the HR portion.
Yeah, we should probably.
Dawn, I move for executive session for 5 minutes, concerning non-elected personnel, for the job offer of position of human resources.
I'll second. There's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Okay. Are you ready, Dawn?
Yep.
I move to extend the job offer for the position of Human Resource Officer. I do not know how to spell her name.
I can look it up. It's SION. So yeah, I'll look it up.
Sionia, I know that's how she said it. And what's her last name?
HCASE.
Case, okay.
Go on.
Do you need any additional information for the, no, I didn't.
No.
Salary at 25.
Well, you guys had not been putting that as part of the
Oh,
motion
okay.
because they don't.
Till we hire.
To the offer, make an offer.
Sure, extend the job offer, and then when we get a reply, then we'll set the wage for sure.
We set the wage.
Okay.
I will second.
If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. And a quick update for you on the nursing home committee. So we had talked to two attorney firms, attorneys from two separate firms, and we made the decision to hire the attorney that works with our hospital, and to also retain the auditing firm that works with our hospital. So both of those who, work in that field and with our county are going to be assisting the committee and ultimately us. So we'll be the ones signing that. They're supposed to send engagement letters to us through Jennifer's office, and we will approve that as a board. What I just wanted to get from you guys before we leave, so that when I talk to the committee on Friday, we can be sure. I put together a list of questions because we're going to be paying for all the time that we spend talking to this attorney. And so I wanted approval on the questions and even some suggestions for you if you have anything that you'd like to know as we continue our pursuit, and then to know exactly what we need to know from the attorney. I just put together a list here. It's one page, but basically, in dealing directly with Lincoln Park Manor, is it necessary to engage them through change of ownership paperwork, or can we obtain our own independent licensing? And what leverage does the county hold within the parameters of the lease regarding the debt owed to us from non-payments? Should we pursue a civil action on the debt to Lincoln County, whereas it would be to the county and to the hospital for non-payment of bills from Lincoln Park Manor? And then what official financial records should be obtained from Lincoln Park Manor before any monetary negotiations are considered? The examples would be audited financial statements, tax returns, comparative cost reports, or bills, outstanding bills from vendors. Number 5, how and who is to assess the value of Lincoln Park Manor Corporation as far as the assets are concerned to determine a potential financial investment on the part of the county? Would it be fair market value, revenue-based value, value of the license only, value of Medicaid payment agreements, as some of the examples? Questions to clarify the process with KDAD's Department of Licensing. 1, may the county as owner of the property pursue application for receivership claiming financial insolvency? 2, what are our options to obtain a provisional license? 3, can the county request to be placed as an additional party on the current license? 4, does the Secretary of the Department of Aging have authority to issue a new facility license directly to the county without regard for compliance with CMS inspection? And how does this relate to acquiring a new Medicaid payment agreement? If LPM would be found financially insolvent, can KDADS execute a transfer of the license to preserve the facility without initiating the process of new applications? Number 5, is the facility license directly conjoined with the Medicaid payment agreement and the provider agreement, or is it separate? Can you obtain one without the other? And then number 6, is the code compliance with the physical structure associated with the facility license, the Medicaid provider agreement, or both? And what are the limits of grandfathering the facilities such as ours without 8-foot hallways and bathrooms in each resident room? And then number 7, is it true that the acquisition of a new or initial certification through CMS to obtain a new Medicaid agreement will require a CMS inspection reporting 0 deficiency? That was kind of what we were told prior to this, and so I'm just suggesting that the attorney find out the definite answers to all these questions. Do you have any objections or additions or corrections for me?
I don't. I think, you may have to expand on those once you get
Oh, yeah.
answers. There may be
Yeah.
more questions that need to be asked,
Right.
but I would concur, I think, that utilizing the same attorney that the hospital uses. I think he's with the same firm, I believe, that K-Camp and all those use.
I didn't particularly notice that this week, but it doesn't mean that I didn't miss it, so.
I think he's with Folston.
Seafton, it's called Folston Seafton, I think. Oh, Joe, did you have anything
No,
else you want?
that's fine.
But he works with
Okay.
the Kansas Hospital Association also, so I think he's knowledgeable.
Yeah, I mean, I think he definitely has the resources there. It would be Dick Hay.
And you're meeting every
Friday mornings, yes. And so my assumption is we would follow up on some of this, and I'll bring that information back to you guys. And probably Monday, I'm hoping, we would have some letters of engagement for us to look at and just approve. So if there is nothing else, that's kind of my update for right now. Hopefully we get some definitive legal answers, and then we can move forward.
I think that's a major step.
Yes. Thank you.
Don't try to cut some.
Thank
big
you,
ones.
Alexis, for your
Yes.
I
work.
don't know,
Yes.
David, did you have something?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. Just real quick, I had, within the last month, had written 2 grants, one to Post Rock Community Foundation and one to the Hero Foundation over in Ottawa County. Had submitted grant paperwork information to them, and they had both responded that after careful consideration, at this time, they wanted me to submit paperwork to the Hanson Foundation prior to them releasing any money in support of this effort to get sirens/generators for Lincoln County. With the overall project with generators and sirens, one in each of the communities as well as Vesper, the overall project is $210,000, or $210,974.04, and of that, I was going to ask Hanson for $155,000, 80-20 split, which Lincoln County's endeavor would be $60,000 then, in support of that. And again, that'd be 9 sirens, 8 in the current locations that we have, and then adding one to Vesper also.
What's their budget right now? What do they have available? Do they have
Hanson,
No, our budget from the,
repeater board,
yes.
a very minimal amount, very minimal amount.
So-
But again, in-kind match, what I was going with on in-kind match from the fire departments was roughly $16,000, I think is what I had figured. That once they have their monthly meetings and their amount of volunteer firefighters that they have with that, whether, again, each department is different sizes, and they each gave me a different number, but the in-kind match would equate out to about $16,000 for the year with all the volunteer fire departments. So that would be part of the offset of that.
Of the 60,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, I think
And then again, there's also a FEMA grant, and I'm trying to get with KM on finding out when the application deadline is for the FEMA mitigation grant that shows you're trying to be proactive in helping minimize a foreseen problem with generators and /sirens.
So possibly that could help with the 60,000.
Correct, also, yes. Yes. So again, I just wanted to...
So the cities are not going to upfront any money?
No, sir, no. But again, too, the county would take ownership and we would insure those sirens also.
I think any of them have any money.
No, I'm sure they don't.
They would still do the $300 a month for
Yeah.
the main, $300 a year, the 4 communities, or and Hunter 5 per year. So I just wanted your authorization that I could proceed with the Hanson application.
I have no problem proceeding with that.
No problem with it.
Okay,
If we can get 80% of it paid for.
yes. And then the other thing on that second page was we're having our zombie event coming up Saturday the 27th out at Vesper, and those are the agencies that are going to be there. Saline County Health, Sanitarian, Agent Sean Estrel will be there also. He's got something that he's doing. I don't know what it is. He hasn't discussed that with me. And then tomorrow I have a planning meeting for a full-scale exercise coming up March of next year, reference hazmat incident. Anhydrous will qualify as that hazmat chemical. We'll hit a school bus from Sylvan, and there will be a release. Mass care and mass casualty thing. So, having a planning meeting here in the morning. So, just wanted to touch base.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.